Says I gotta go, tired of going solo, but I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to crawl. I'm not the one with two scar hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
As usual, every Saturday morning, welcome to Fresh Black Coffee. Dave, I've got some fresh coffee. It's not exactly black. It is with creamer.
That's
but our conversation is fresh black coffee to wake you up. And we're thankful it's another Saturday.
Yeah.
Another week. Man, and what a week it was. Again, they're all getting to be exciting. A lot going on around us. We have a lot to discuss today. But before we do that, David, why don't you introduce our guest?
Absolutely. We are joined today with a man from Owasso, Oklahoma.
Or as they say, Awassa.
Owasso, yeah.
Owasso, yeah.
The locals. So, Ron Causby has been a conservative advocate for a long time, working on state issues, working with various people. And but tell us more about yourself, Ron.
I'm a father, first off. I got a great big bunch of kids over in Owasso.
Great big bunch.
Yeah, great big bunch. And I've always been active in politics, but I own a little remodeling business over there.
Yeah.
And I really didn't get active in politics until COVID shut everything down and said, hey, you don't have as many rights as you thought you did. So that really kind of drove me to get more active and get engaged with people.
In party politics.
In party politics and state legislative action, school boards, things of that nature.
Because I think, some hot button issues go back a little further than COVID that you've been involved in. I think education policy, if you're a dad, I mean, a good dad, you're going to.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
In that. So, but what I heard this week is you are putting your hat in the ring to run for a party leadership position. You want to tell us more about that?
First of all, you got to talk to better people if they're telling you stuff like that. But yes, I am actually running for, I'm tossing my name in there. I did it. Why not? Mm-hmm. It was my question. Mm-hmm. I'm very active in politics. I love politics. It was like a second 4th of July for me when I was growing up. My father was Ronald Reagan all the way. And so I enjoy meeting and talking to people and getting things accomplished. Mm-hmm. And, I decided, why not? Let me just gut check myself and stop talking and do some America doing.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. And so I asked around a little bit and found out a number of my friends I've known for a long time and respected and said, oh yeah, supporting Ron. So I thought, well, let's get him in on the show. And I want to say, I think we want Rhonda, the incumbent, who's running
absolutely
to come on in. We've got a few weeks before a county convention. So let's have a discussion.
You have to have a discussion.
So what's motivating you most? What do you think are the issues that most need to be fixed?
Now, I don't want y'all to think I'm a professional politician. I'm not.
Gotcha.
The thing, and so I may stumble over some of my answers or just come across as not knowing something, but the one thing I do know, and this is going to be very first day one priority in fixing this, is I don't know if you went to your precinct meetings the other night.
Yeah.
I went to mine. We have 3 House districts in Owasso that were represented, and there was at least 20 little precinct numbers on the table that nobody showed up.
Yeah.
There were 8 of us in this meeting that represented different precincts. So then I became my precinct chair, vice chair, secretary, everything. One person. That is my priority. We have to find these conservatives where they're at. If they're on the couch, if they're busy working, we have to get those precincts filled with conservative Republicans, and we have to let them, whatever talent they have to help move the party forward.
Yeah.
That's my main goal.
My oldest son's involved in marketing on a global scale, works for Forbes, and one of the terms he uses, user experience. What is the user experience? And I think when somebody decides to get involved, they go to the precinct meeting, they go to the county convention, and they get involved. And many times they see nastiness. They see divisiveness. They see the party tearing itself apart. Is that what you're talking about?
I have heard that. I have heard current leadership. I've actually worked with Rhonda on a couple different things. She called me about Owasso school board members. You got anybody that you want to run over there in Owasso? And I gave her a couple of names. When I didn't support the candidate she wanted me to support, that caused a little division there.
Oh, yes.
And I wonder how many other people is this happening to, whether or not you want to go down and run for a state office or some type of office. And Rhonda's, we've already got it picked. Don't worry about it.
Well, then I want a commitment from you.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to, if you are entrusted with this the highest post of the party in this county, are you going to stay neutral when you've got multiple candidates saying, I'm willing to step up?
I think you have to.
Absolutely you have to.
If you have a primary race with 3 Republican candidates, you support all 3 of those Republican candidates in the primary equally.
Right.
If you can't support them the same, then don't support any of them.
Right. Okay.
That's just my take. And yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
So that's an issue that you've had to deal with firsthand with our current chair.
Yes.
What else?
The reason I'm sitting here is because I called in August when I was helping Ryan Walters and Chris Banning and Dana Perito, had them at my house, was fundraising, doing the doing.
Yeah.
So I called to find out who my precinct captain was, and come to find out I didn't have one.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm here. If you would like for me, I'll take it over until.
Yeah.
She said, no, we'll just wait till January.
Oh.
Now, why would you do that?
Absolutely. Why?
You have somebody wanting to help, get people motivated, get them out to vote. No.
That's a power issue. That's what that tells me.
It is a power issue, and it's not just a party thing. It's just I have found out that a very few people in our lives dictate our lives, whether it's party, elections, school boards, baseball teams. I coach my son's little league baseball team. Very few people get this power. And I'll tell you that I was important before I started running for offices and stuff. I'll be important after I'm done. I don't necessarily need the titles and stuff. I've been doing it.
You're not doing it for the money?
I'll tell you this. I've been doing it. I've been doing the job. I just haven't been accepting the titles and stuff of that nature. So no, I don't do it for the money. And the reason people have offered to pay me to do speaking engagements and this and that.
Okay.
I won't do it.
Now, you're obviously a threat because I've also heard a lot of people running, I would call them ad hominem attacks.
Oh,
Deigning to know what your character is, all this. And one of the things I'm hearing is he hasn't been involved in the party. But you're saying that's because you were shut out by our current chairman.
Well, I have been involved in the party. I have.
I'm talking about the structure of the Tulsa County.
Right.
Okay, to be a member of the county committee.
I haven't been involved in the establishment party.
You were willing to organize your own precinct, which is unorganized. And you're saying that you're told by the current chairman, no, we will just wait.
I want to get one skeleton out of the closet right now. Are you in any way, or have you ever been related to Bill Causby?
No, sir. I'm glad that you asked that too. That is usually when I was growing up.
I see a similarity, Eddie.
Yeah, we're funny, or I guess if you like that. But no, when I was growing up, I always had to say, my name's Ron Causby, spelled Causby.
Yes.
No relation.
All right. I just wanted to get that because
I knew
I
something.
can just see that somewhere that he's a cousin of Bill Causby or a nephew, and he's got the same heretical trait.
Oh yeah, those Causbys are all rapists, don't you know?
Don't be putting that on me. I knew this was going to be a hostile interview.
Okay, I'm sorry for those at home. I just wanted to be sure we cleared that air. Okay?
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
No, I have been involved in the party in the grassroots effort. I have not been allowed to be involved in the established structure that you spoke of. But I have been to the Capitol and the governor's office, making videos, fundraising, going to different meetings, Moms for Liberty, Tulsa Parents Voice, things of that nature.
Yeah. No, I've talked to people around the state that have said, "Oh, we're so excited Ron's running." So
let me say, so you're not a dark horse. You're not just somebody coming out of nowhere. You have been involved. People do know who you are within the party structure. even though, let's say, a certain segment,
Click.
no,
that's a good word. Click. It is a click.
Certain segment of the party doesn't know of you or much about you. You are known within the party's certain circles.
Absolutely. I would be very confident answering that. Yes.
Okay.
But you're here today because you need to get more known.
Broader exposure.
I have been out and in person and shook hands and motivated people. I have a little bit of a social media following on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
And I do this and live shows and just try to get information and things out to people. And one of the biggest things I hear is, I don't have a precinct chair. I would go to these meetings, but I don't know where they're at, or I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Well, we need to inform people. This is what you do. They're actually fun. Let's get out there. Let's have those uncomfortable conversations and figure this out so that we can move that party forward and get some passion back in the party. It's it's not, I don't want to say dead, but it's just very mundane. There's no excitement going on in Tulsa County that I know of as far as the party's concerned.
Gotcha.
Can't get yard signs, can't get this, can't get that. I don't want to be negative. I know that they only have a limited resource to get these things accomplished, but let's figure out a way to improve that resource and get more people involved and get more fundraising going on.
Yeah.
And get a younger crowd in there too.
Gotcha.
Not that there's anything wrong with the older crowd.
Thank you. I resemble that, you know.
Yeah.
No, you're just saying broadening the tent, broadening it to
bring people back in that have
old, young,
yes,
Hispanic, black, white, whatever. Just spread it out and bring more people in.
Absolutely.
Right.
This last general election, our Tulsa County voted for Joy Hoffmeister for governor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm
That's
aware.
That's the problem. I don't think Tulsa County has gone Democrat. God, I don't know how many generations, how many decades it's been. Mm-hmm. We've always been one of the more conservative.
Was it the whole county, or was it the city?
It was the whole county.
Yeah, he lost the county.
And even talking to people, I think Rhonda and I were talking about it, and she was concerned that the city of Tulsa would go Hoffmeister,
right,
but she was hopeful that the county as a whole, because of the suburbs, and it did do better in the suburbs, but lost the county. Mm-hmm. In fact, as a result, at our state convention, Tulsa will have a smaller percentage of the delegation, so will Oklahoma County, and the party will be run more by a rural voice, and that's how the rules are set up. Mm-hmm. We're getting penalized for not doing our job as a county, and so be it, right?
I agree, and I think that directly speaks to the leadership of not motivating those people to get out and vote their conservative values and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm going to be the devil's advocate in this case, because the cities across the nation, that's a tough nut to crack, because wherever you find the universities, mm-hmm, there's this heavy influence, and wherever your business centers are and everything, there's an influx of people coming in with a whole more liberal mindset.
That's
and
the
they
trend.
Are exactly. And so, and the conservatives tend to keep moving out to the suburbs more and more and farther out. It's not just an Oklahoma problem. Right. It's happening everywhere.
It is.
You look at Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston, name a city.
Yeah, it is, and it's getting more so that way. And the question is, what do we do to try to stop that?
That is going to be the real tough issue going forward.
I don't have all the answers, but here's what I really excel at is networking and getting people together that do have the right answers.
Exactly. Filling out the roster.
Right.
Getting their precincts organized. It starts with that. And so if that's not happening, you get results like this.
Absolutely. This was record low turnout for precincts this last meeting.
Yeah.
And we didn't have 3 foot of snow on the ground.
Well, right. And in past years, the precincts were, in fact, the rules say the precincts organize themselves. Mm-hmm. They set their meeting. And if there's a vacant precinct, then the county steps in to help organize the unorganized precincts. Unfortunately, we're all being treated as though we can't organize ourselves. But that's my issue, okay? So tell me, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, everybody, and this is another thing, I don't know that y'all know this or not, but I am a very open and transparent person. I love everybody. I even love liberals. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be able to argue with anybody and tell them they was wrong. So you're always able to get a hold of me on social media, Facebook, the Real Ron page. I have my personal page. I have a page up now that is Ron Causby for Tulsa County GOP chair. I'm on Twitter, a couple different spots. My phone, come to my house. We can talk at the house.
Good. And then are we going to see you, for instance, some of the conservative clubs, Republican clubs over the next month or two?
Yes, that is coming. I'm actually, and this is still in the works, but I have some legislators that are going to be helping me out, come out and meet and greet with some different peoples in the next few months before the March 25th. So we got some big stuff coming up.
Would you be receptive to a forum where all the announced candidates
Absolutely
can discuss the issues?
Now,
Absolutely.
The county convention's coming up here sometime soon.
March 25th.
Yeah,
Right.
we got 2 months this time.
And now, if what you're saying, if these precinct meetings, because you have to go to the precinct meeting to be a delegate to the county convention.
Or if you
rules.
can't make the precinct meeting, Rhonda has said that you can email her and do the proxy thing, which I think is just complete.
It's a violation of the law, of the rules.
It is. It has to go.
So the problem though is getting people out to these precinct meetings, and probably you're going to be handicapped in some sense.
Well, the precinct meetings have happened.
Oh, they're already gone. Okay, so
And by the
that's right.
turnout, I'm a long shot.
Right, that's what I'm trying to get at. Right, so
That doesn't escape me whatsoever. But at the very least, I'm going to get more engagement and more people talking about the issues and bring to light the issues that have got us where we're at today.
Yeah, I do need to clarify something. I have not heard that announcement personally coming from our chair that if you can't make the precinct meeting, call the county Republican Party, and a commitment will get you into the convention. If that call said call before the precinct so that we can notify that precinct meeting, hey, so-and-so wants to be included. Because every precinct gets to pick their own delegation, their own form of representation at the county. The number of delegates are already set or capped.
Correct.
But if what was said actually reflects that we're just going to help communicate back to that precinct meeting if you contact ahead of time, I have no problem with that. But if it's to add names, complete violation. The good news is every precinct delegation has the power, even at the convention, to throw somebody off by a vote if they have legitimate cause for that. So, and if they go as a delegate alternate and somebody all of a sudden bumps someone out of being a delegate, so the chair or somebody can do it, that is a real travesty.
I was there at the precinct meeting and I asked if I could add my vice chair to my roster or to my delegate list and was told no because they weren't at the precinct meeting.
That's wrong.
But they could email and fill it out and send it to the county chair.
Yeah.
And she would make the decision whether they could be a delegate or not.
That's, completely.
Oh, it's
wrong.
a travesty.
If what you're saying is true, that is completely a violation of the autonomy of the precinct. The Republican Party is a bottom-up organization. All power starts at the precinct level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where the power's derived from. It has to be from the bottom.
That's how it's set up. When I first became a precinct chair, my training down at the old headquarters on 31st, they were adamant about that. The power starts at the precinct, and everything goes up.
What changed about that?
Well, people love power. It's addicting.
Exactly. And you only keep people around you that are going to keep you in power.
That's human nature, isn't it? It's not.
Here we go.
It's the basic human nature. Now, I'm not. Well, Eddie, I'm not indicting anybody here.
That's why you keep him around. Mr. Eddie here around to make
he
sure that
keeps-
you look good. Make sure that you look good.
I'm a guest in his office, folks, his studio.
Okay.
I make friends and influence.
What were you going to say? You disagree with what we're saying?
Huh?
You disagree
He's
with?
egging me on.
I wouldn't disagree with anything. I just said, here we go.
Yeah, he's
okay.
getting his popcorn out.
Okay. I have watched. I actually when we scheduled this, I watched y'all's show, and I had heard of you. I may have even disagreed with y'all a time or two on a Facebook post or something back a while back, but I think that y'all work great together. Got some great information, and I appreciate y'all letting me be on here and try to bring awareness to people that don't. They might want to come out and help out and be involved, but they don't know what to do, because I didn't know what to do 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the sad thing is, not enough folks like you are stepping up for whatever reason, and we need to change that. And we need to be more receptive, and especially to populations and communities that, for whatever reason, the media is not our friend.
Absolutely
they are perpetuating a lot of stereotypes about who we are. And, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black, that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's racism. So, and I think Tulsa County Republicans are becoming more diverse. I've seen it even in our last convention, but we can do better. We have to do better.
Yeah. There's not an alternative.
Yeah. Well, I know we got to get you to a family event, so we're
my
going
son's
to
birthday is
wrap things up.
Party
Why
today.
don't you take a minute, look in that camera, and give your final pitch for why they should vote for Ron Causby.
You should vote for me because I'm good looking, but really, if you have a question about how to get involved with the GOP, whether I'm elected or not, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. All my stuff is public. Everybody in Northeast Oklahoma knows where I live, and my phone number. Just reach out, and that's the message I want to leave with everybody.
Spell your name.
Causby.
Ron Causby. Causby.
The real Ron.
The real Ron. I saw that page.
Yeah. Everybody sees that page.
Good. All right. Reach out to them. They can text you at what number?
918-720-4029.
Got that? Thank you.
You bet.
All right, we're black. Fresh black coffee with Eddie and Dave, or should it be Dave and Eddie?
I don't know. You don't want to get kicked out of the studio, do you?
Yeah, right.
Inside joke. You got to watch the last segment.
Yeah, the last segment. Yeah, I'm lucky you keep me around.
Yeah. So the last segment, we had a candidate for county chairman of the Republican Party.
Right.
What did you think?
I like his ideas. I think right now, the only shortcoming I see, and you know me, I was like this with Pat. I'm like this with everybody, like a bull in the china shop, as they say.
He's blunt, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to get a little nuanced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is blunt too, right?
Right. No. Yes.
Yeah, that's something Donald needs to work on.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. No, it is true. Like shooting people on Fifth Avenue. or what, 40,000 at the Maybe Stadium, or however many thousand, 25,000 at the Maybe Stadium. Oh, but there's a difference in being Donald Trump, a billionaire, and seeking to be the county chairman with somebody who's very popular with her own posse, I guess is the only word I could, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's a little difference when you're trying to be the boss and when you are the boss. Mm-hmm. So it's just a bit of advice to Mr. Causby to learn some. It reminds me of the governor, and I think we talked about this last week. That first debate that I moderated over in Wagner County.
Oh, I was on the phone yesterday.
Was that on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, you people may not know this, but I moderated the very first debate that our governor did. It was he and 4 other candidates, Republican. It was a Republican debate in Wagner County. And the question came, now as a moderator, I'm supposed to be the moderator, and you got the questions from the audience.
Be moderate, Eddie.
Yeah, just sit there and let the people ask the questions, and I just stand there and designate who answers the questions and ask them. So, but as in living color, you say, homie, don't play that. You know? So anyway, the question came from the audience. What do you say to the state legislature on the education budget? The terrible job they seem to be doing with the education budget. And the governor's response was that the education budget was a problem because the state legislature only had a small percentage that they actually oversaw. And he wanted to give them essentially the whole budget to let them. And so after he answered the question, I interfered, and I will say interfered as a moderator. I said, excuse me, Mr. Stitt, but if they've screwed up this portion of the budget, why would you give them the entire budget? Yeah. And of course, the whole audience, and I thought I had made an enemy for life.
Oh, you know? Eddie, you were leading in the polls for governor at that point.
Well, it was this crowd just went nuts, applauding, yelling. Yes. It was one of those. But afterwards, I went to the governor and I apologized. Yeah. Not for asking the question, but if he felt that I was insulting him or trying to hurt him.
Blindsided him.
Yeah. But wanted to say, I wanted to do it now so that in the future he would be more careful, because if I was doing it now in a friendly setting, what would happen if he were in an unfriendly setting in the future when it was a big audience or televised, where they would really make him. So anyway, and I assume he forgave me because I remember I was emceeing the.
You're his favorite MC now.
Well, but anyway, it's but these are the type of things, and in our case here, he just needs to get a little more exposure, a little more nuance, a little more polished in his. And I don't think, I don't know if I should say this, but we'll talk about it later. Yeah. Oh, there's some.
They feel left out now.
I know. You can't know everything. You know what? I'm going to tease you. So tune in next week.
Yeah, there you go.
Tune in next week, and I'll get Dave to remember, and we might let you in on it next week.
What they can know is the editorial would be prepared for today.
Yeah. I will do at the end. We'll tag you. I've got a little editorial about the Democrat Party.
Nice.
The Democrat Party. Democrat Party. So anyway, hey, Dave. Moving on. I think we've got to start. We've got to begin with Memphis.
Yes.
Memphis.
Yes. If you can give me a break for a second, I need to reposition our cameras for a better user experience.
Okay.
All right.
Do we want music for that?
Why not?
Why not? Okay. See what we got. Nothing there. Position already? Okay, that was a bust. Okay. It's sad. Listen, you've got to get a mixer in here. You're shaking do you hear it? Something is making, I think it's your mic stand. There we go.
Isn't that strange? Sorry, folks. I need to quit pounding the table.
You need to quit shaking the table. You should do like me. Sit back and relax.
Yes. Suck the gut in.
Suck the gut in. I have to tell you, Facebook friends, unfortunately, you don't get to hear our music. So, Dave, we've got to get that board into live, because our Facebook audience, I believe, is growing. Am I wrong?
That is, yes. People are finding out you can watch the stupid stuff that we edit out later. We're live at 11 every Saturday morning.
Live at 11,
give or take, ish.
Yeah, 11-ish.
Yes.
Yeah. So Saturday mornings at 11, you can watch us live on Facebook, and you get to see the stuff that he cuts out of everything else. Yeah. And so, but what you don't get on Facebook, unfortunately, is the great audio,
the full experience,
the
drama, the
music, phonic, the hydrophonic, if there is such a word, and also the music that we play. So, but we do really listen. It's 2023. God is blessing me abundantly. I will say, we should do a whole show on that. Give and it shall be given unto you.
That's a promise.
A prosperity message. I mean, seriously. Another time and something else to put on the list. Yeah. No, seriously, I can't believe it works.
Yeah. We were going to talk about Memphis next.
We were, but just a quick thing for those that are watching on Facebook. Is it me now?
It might be this.
Oh, here, no, that's shut off. That mic is shut off, so it can't be that. It's you.
Yeah. I will hold this.
Okay. So anyway, for our Facebook crowd, we do need to get allow you to be able to listen to our great music, and so much that you don't get to hear audiophonically. Okay. If that's such a word. I'm making up all these words now. So anyway, all right. So moving on to Memphis.
Yeah.
Not this. I don't think it was this week. I think it was last week before. A young man was apprehended in a traffic stop, and police officers stopped him, and the young man was hospitalized and died.
Yeah.
What we did not know totally was the circumstances of his death, how it happened. There was some suspicion there. What it's now been made perfectly clear because the Memphis chief of police has authorized the release of the video. And the video shows that the young man was essentially beaten to death by the 5 police officers.
They must have been white, the policemen, right?
That's what a lot of people assumed.
Well, it fits the narrative.
It fits the narrative, exactly.
But no, they were all black.
They were all black. And what's so funny is I had a fraternity brother of mine who instantly sent me an email or a text message jumping right to that, you know, that white cops and the Republicans and da. And then tried to tie it into George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, et cetera. And I basically said, this case and those others are totally irrelevant to this case. There's no resemblance. There's nothing. It has nothing in common with, especially Trayvon Martin. Okay, and so I assume he went and actually finally he saw the video and saw the news account that it was 5 black police. He must have been watching MSNBC. Oh yeah, and I'm sure he lives on
Talking Gorilla. Joy Reid, as you called her.
Yeah, you better blame that on me.
That's right. I will cite the source of that.
You'll get a visit. You'll have
he has black privilege.
The FBI will be at your house for saying something like that, you know. But no, so he was all incensed at this, and then I haven't heard anything since that because of the, I think you saw the photo.
Well, here's the thing. The cops... I've got a good friend, Oklahoma cop for many years, that he and I put together a Facebook page called, Law Enforcement and Liberty. And he said every cop, when he puts on that uniform every morning, has to look in the mirror and ask himself, am I a servant or a warrior today?
Yeah.
Because that mindset, when you go out there as a warrior, or as Kevin Adams spoke here, remember, he's our #1 podcast episode. It's the one where he talked about some bad rogue cops who list on their Facebook page occupation, refuse management. When they see, maybe not the whole public, but certain economic segments, might be color, but I don't think it is color a lot of times.
No, I agree. I agree. It's not. It's not. YouTube is replete with videos of white kids being beaten by police, being mistreated by police, being shot by police.
Yeah.
It's you and I have from the beginning. That's one thing we see eye to. We argue a lot. If you haven't figured that out, but one thing Dave and I are one in.
Well, I don't argue with you. I educate you. Sorry.
Yes, boss. We even from the days of Pat Campbell, me on the Pat Campbell show. You remember, I used to argue with Pat whenever we have a police shooting.
Yeah.
How 5 minutes after the police shoot someone, you can go on Facebook and know the entire criminal record of the person who was shot.
Yeah.
But no one ever takes time to look at a record of the police officer that shot the person that was killed.
Right.
And we don't know, is there a record of abuse? Is there a record of spousal abuse at home? Is there a drinking problem? Have they been accused of beating other or abusing other suspects and so forth?
Right.
We know nothing about the police officer, but you go on Facebook and instantly we know everything about the history of the person that was killed or mistreated or not by the police officer. And all I was saying is, and I said this way back, it was in the Muskogee case. It was in the Muskogee case where this finally came up. And then, of course, our friend up north, the Crutcher case.
Yeah.
Where I said, we have got to quit instantly assuming the police officer is always right.
Yep.
We have, as conservatives, have created Black Lives Matter. I can't stand Black Lives Matter. I hate Black Lives Matter. I hate everything they, Antifa, and everything stand for. But the conservative movement started Black Lives Matter and Antifa because we hear no evil, see no evil.
Yep.
We only speak evil of anybody that says anything about any policeman. And it's got to stop. We have got to stay back, take a deep breath, wait for the smoke to clear, and investigate. Okay? In the case of George Floyd, there's no reason the guy should have had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes. Okay? No reason. They had him handcuffed. They had him on the ground. You got 5 officers around this guy. Where's he going to go? The guy was high as a kite. He couldn't do anything. Why does he have to sit there riding the guy's neck for 9 minutes? Okay. Yet you got people saying, well, it was his fault he died. Seriously? The question is, I add to your friend's statement that he made. I asked, does someone need to die today? That should be the first question.
Good point.
When I go out today, does someone need to die today, me or the other person? Okay. Do I need to go die? Does the other person need to die? Is this a situation where I need to die or this person needs to die? I think of the Muskogee case where the kid was running away.
Yes.
He turned around and he's running, and the officer shot him when he turned to run.
I don't think he actually turned around. He reached down to pick up his phone.
Well,
and
he
turned his head back.
No, he actually was turning and running.
Right.
Because basically one bullet caught him inside and 4 in the back.
Yeah.
He was shot 5 times.
Yeah, the cop emptied his clip into the back of the guy.
Right. And the kid was running away. That was the case. That's the case that actually changed me.
Yeah.
The Crutcher case, unarmed guy, there were 4 police officers, 1 shot, 3 did not.
Okay.
So anyway, we have too many of these cases, and first thing we do is want to believe, we all want to believe the police officer did their job, but we too often want to make excuses for the police when the police, and it's not always malice. Mm-hmm. In the case of Betty, what's her name? Shelby. It wasn't malice. It was just lack of training. Yeah. Panic, whatever.
Yeah, Pat and I both thought she was spooked by that taser going off right next to her eardrum.
Exactly. So here's my big, what could have diffused everything in that situation was if the jury had convicted her of manslaughter. Mm-hmm. And she should not have gotten a retirement. And to add aggravation to misery, mm-hmm. You've got the sheriff of Roger County hires her. Mm-hmm. You talk about a slap in the face.
Well, now she's getting a paycheck and a pension same time.
Exactly. They paid her full pension for TPD, and then she gets hired mm-hmm. in Rogers County.
She's one of the highest paying law enforcement people now, isn't she?
Yeah. So these are the type of things that make people very angry, and right or wrong, this is what does it to people, and then we sit there, what are these people upset about? That's what these people are upset about.
Yeah.
The case in Florida, what was the original Black Lives Matter case? Trayvon Martin.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think George Zimmerman was guilty of murder, mm-hmm. but he should have been charged with manslaughter, I believe. Mm-hmm. He should never have gotten out of the car. When the 911 operator told him, sir, do not get out of your vehicle. Do not. He called 911. It was reported. We will take care of this. Do not leave your vehicle. What does he do? He leaves the vehicle, gets into the altercation with the guy. A gun goes off. The kid gets shot.
I disagree with
That's manslaughter.
I disagree.
Good. I'm glad we got something to disagree about again. Trayvon Martin did not need to die. It was not a case of life in prison, 10, 20 years in prison, no. But George should have paid a penalty. That was the first case. The guy up in St. Louis, Ferguson, the officer, mm-hmm. totally not guilty.
Absolutely.
That totally justified. Mm-hmm. Okay? 2 different cases. One totally justified. The other case, not justified in my view. Okay? But you've got to take each of these cases as an individual situation.
That is correct.
Muskogee, unjustified. That kid should not have been shot.
There wasn't even an indictment.
That kid did not need to be. He did not need to die that day.
Absolutely.
Okay. Crutcher did not need to die that day.
Yeah.
In my opinion. On and on. George Floyd did not need to die. He may have died anyway from his drug overdose. If that's what a lot of people are trying. Oh, he would have died anyway. Well, then let him die anyway on his own. See, we have got to. Listen, people, what I'm trying to say is conservatives are their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
We just play into the hands of our liberals.
Yeah.
We just play into their hands, and they just sit back and laugh.
Yeah.
We give them ammo. Here, shoot us. Mm-hmm. We know, oh, you out of ammo? Here, let me give you another round. Let me give you another clip or another magazine. Mm-hmm. Okay? Oh, you've only got a 10-round magazine. Here's a 30-round magazine. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is what we do. Mm-hmm. This is what we do instead of using our head. Then you got the other guys who totally give in, capitulate, who are always wanting to say, yeah, it's our fault. Yeah, it's our fault. Yeah, it's our fault. You know, we can't get anybody in the middle. We got the guys that are the rhinos over here that are siding completely with the left, right? Ready to surrender. Sure. And then you got the guys over here who never want to agree.
Yeah.
We can't get anybody with not everybody. There are a few people. There's some people who get it, some people who see it. But we have got to begin. We've got to begin doing things, using our heads. I always go back to the scripture where Jesus said that we must be wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
Since we're talking about people who should or shouldn't have been convicted, what about Kyle Rittenhouse?
Not convicted.
Shouldn't have been.
Should not have been.
Just wanted to find out.
Should not have been.
See,
I mean, the guy's coming, they're trying to beat the guy. First of all, trying to beat him, and then the guy comes at him with a gun. The one guy had a gun.
Yeah.
He was self-defense.
Yeah. I just want to, if I could just for a second on the Trayvon Martin thing, just clarify where I disagree with you. When a dispatcher advises you, you're not being detained by a cop. If a cop had been on the scene and you interfered with a cop's investigation, that's one thing. But for her over the phone to detain George Zimmerman, that's not what that was. And number two, Zimmerman showed no sign of aggression at all until his head was repeatedly being banged on the edge of a concrete sidewalk.
Okay, wait a minute. All right. So why was his head being beaten on the sidewalk?
According to all the accounts, Trayvon came up to him and was aggressive towards him. Why are you following me?
Whose accounts?
Well, this is what was said in court.
By whom?
Whoever the witnesses were. That's the only account.
The only witness was George, and Trayvon couldn't.
Well, other people heard things that were not inconsistent with what George's account was about people screaming, things like that. But again,
George was screaming because he was fighting with Trayvon.
Yeah, but
there were no witnesses.
All of the forensic evidences backed up the account that George Zimmerman gave.
Oh, no. I believe George was getting his head banged in and everything, but if he had stayed in the truck, it would have never...
No. You're just saying if people would all stay in their houses, there'd never be any crime in America, but we would be being detained illegally and unconstitutionally.
That makes no sense.
That advice from that dispatcher had no authority because there was not a cop on scene investigating.
George should not have gotten out of his truck.
That's advice.
Yeah.
But
it was good advice.
Yeah, but the thing is, it wasn't an unlawful disobedience.
No, it wasn't unlawful, but he should have listened to it.
Oh, I know. And they always say, if you just do what the officer said, you wouldn't have got killed. That doesn't mean that it's your fault the officer murdered you. You can't take that lead.
Nobody said
that. You're blaming George. And meanwhile,
I am blaming George.
You completely dropped the fact that Trayvon Martin was bashing George's skull into the concrete.
Yes, because he was accosted by this guy getting out of his truck because he's walking through a neighborhood.
You have no evidence he was being accosted?
You have no evidence that he wasn't being accosted.
And where does the burden of proof lie? With the prosecutor, not defense.
Yeah, but there was no evidence one way or another.
The point is, to prosecute George, you would have to prove your case. George didn't have to prove anything.
No.
He just needs to...
Listen, I understand that. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is Trayvon did not need to die.
Oh, I agree. Don't bash a guy's head in the concrete.
All I said is Trayvon Martin did not need to die,
and he didn't die.
And if George had kept his butt in the car, in the truck, listen, we would not have Black Lives Matter today.
And if Trayvon didn't live in the neighborhood, he wouldn't be dead. I mean, you can say all kinds of things. That doesn't mean it's the fault criminally of somebody for doing something. George didn't do anything criminally by getting out of his job was because the cops weren't doing their job protecting the neighborhood. They did a neighborhood watch.
We have a thing called Stand Your Ground, right?
Yeah, different states have different.
All right, now you say George was defending himself.
Well, he was a neighborhood watchman.
Okay.
That was his duty. Volunteered for
All
it.
right. When does watch stop being watch?
When you do more than watch. But there's no evidence he did anything.
What do you
more than
mean?
watch.
He got out of his truck and he went over to
To
Trayvon.
watch. He couldn't see him in the truck, so he went just to keep, so that he could be of
and so
assistance.
he didn't
to others.
say anything to Trayvon.
I don't know.
Exactly.
According to his testimony, Trayvon came up to
And
him.
Trayvon did not live to tell us if George said anything.
Right, we don't know.
He could have called him the N-word.
We don't know, but the thing is,
We don't know.
he had a plausible explanation for what he did.
Yeah, I always had plausible
as
explanation when my
long as there's
parents or
plausible
police stopped me.
explanation, the
What
burden of
are you
proof-
doing here in this neighborhood, boy?
There's no evidence.
I
anybody
live right
said
over here.
that.
I'm taking a shortcut over here.
No, Eddie. Nobody even insinuated that statement was made. You just made that up.
That's what you say. You don't know.
I don't.
Wait. Do you know where Trayvon lived?
He was visiting family there, so he was a guest.
And where was he headed? To his family where he was staying, right?
By all accounts, yeah, there was nothing improper about it.
Thank you.
George didn't know that at the time.
Oh, hello. George didn't know.
Right.
So George goes through and accosts the kid who's heading somewhere.
You don't know that he accosted.
He had to. He got out of his truck.
The narrative was that Trayvon came back to him.
That's what you made up.
That's what George said in court.
That's what George said in
Right.
court. If George had kept his behind in the truck, it never would have happened. If you
George
listened to the dispatcher, it never would have happened.
Get rid of neighborhood watches, because if you just stay in your apartment, nobody will get killed.
Keep neighborhood
outside.
watches and just have neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
That's what he should have done.
Yeah. And that's
he
all
didn't.
that's all we know he did until his head was bashed in. Then he admitted, yes, I shot him point blank.
Okay. We report, you decide.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, Eddie?
We've got
Email us. We want to hear your verdict.
We've got the jury of our watchers here.
That's
You're
right.
watching. You decide. Okay.
One other
When
thing.
does watching turn into more than watching?
The Memphis case.
Okay, Memphis. We're back.
Tyree Nichols.
Right.
The difference between Tyree Nichols and David Ware here in Tulsa from a few years ago was that Tyree couldn't get his hands on a gun. Because I would say, with what Tyree Nichols was subjected to, I would have considered him justified if he had a gun to protect his life by deadly force to that beatdown.
Well, at that point, then, he lets the cops off the hook.
He's dead now.
No, I know. But what I'm saying, they would have killed him, and then the police would have been justified in killing him.
Why? No. You know what? David Ware actually won a gunfight. Now he's going to rot in prison for it, right? But point is, if you're getting a beatdown, which we see on video, David Ware here in Tulsa was getting a beatdown for something they had no right to do.
Okay, but again, see, this is Tulsa.
Yeah. And then, like
Memphis.
your earlier thing, the cops, the chief of police, got in front of cameras and media and lied. And Kevin West sat right in that chair and told us how they lied. They said, oh, he left behind a poor widow, grieving. So he was having an affair with the public defender's office female attorney, and his wife was divorcing him at the time. They didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
You were saying, Eddie.
Okay.
Our camera went dead for a second. We had to do a little bit.
I was saying you're dead wrong there.
I'm dead wrong. Yeah. But, much of what you said, I'm like, amen. And the difference, my point, difference between David Ware and Tyree Nichols is Tyree couldn't get his hands on a gun.
Well, there's two differences.
Okay.
David Ware was white.
Well, yeah. That's not supposed to matter, is it?
Yeah. So, I have to wonder what would have happened if David Ware had been black.
Well,
would it have been seen? No, but would it have been seen differently?
Oh yeah, but you had the knee-jerk crowds would have got in, but you had white cops, white motorist in Tulsa.
Right.
In Memphis, you had a black motorist. You had all black cops. Yeah. So now, don't the NAACP folks tell us that it's impossible for a black to be a racist? So therefore, those black cops can't be racist.
Well, it's funny because you look at these protests around everywhere, and it's all, not all, but predominantly white people, especially like New York City, Chicago. It's all these Antifa people. I bet they're ticked off that oh man, we can't burn a city down because they're black cops.
Yes.
I mean, I guarantee they are just.
I
in fact,
agree.
some of the signs. Did you see the signs? They said they knew they were pre-printed. They were already ready with these signs because some of them said, make it look like racist cops, and now they had to change because they're not racist because they're black cops.
Yeah.
By the way, one thing, let me interject this too, in case you don't know. This group of police officers was known as an elite unit. This was a special, I don't know if you knew this. This was a special drug unit that they have in Memphis, a special unit of cops that had been decorated. They're decorated, known for taking care of specific crimes, a specific crime unit, and they're praised of being this great unit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're done now, but
they
former
are.
great unit. And that's all it takes. And I think what happened, I think they let it go to their heads. I think they messed around and
this is
believed
Rodney,
their own clippings.
This is Rodney King to the 10th degree.
Oh, yeah, Rodney.
And those two cops ended up in prison for the Rodney King thing. And Rodney King survived.
I think they let him out after a while. The good thing, I mean, I have to say this about Rodney King. He, he forgave them.
Oh, yeah.
And he was pretty gracious about everything.
Rodney became part of the solution when he said, can't we all get along?
Right. And and the parents of this young man, they got on, and asked people not to riot.
Absolutely.
And so that's the thing to do. And so we'll see how it all works out. But it's just, we have got to start, we have got to quit thinking of all police officers as angels or always in the right, and we've got to we've got to quit thinking of black victims as always innocent. I mean, both sides are wrong.
Yeah.
Take every case on its own. Ferguson, whatever the guy's name was that was trying to beat the cop when he got shot, he deserved to get shot because he was going for the police officer's gun. It ruined a police officer's life.
I could say is you only have the cop's testimony here. You don't have...
No. There were witnesses. There were witnesses that came forward and saw it.
You know what? You're right, Eddie.
Thank you.
There were. In fact, one changed your testimony, didn't she?
Well, yeah. And even the guy who originally said, it started the hands up, don't shoot, when he got caught, and he did. Yeah, he didn't have his hands up. He was, he finally, because he got busted, and he was going to go to jail for perjury, and he realized he better change the story. Yeah. But the actual, I mean, to their credit, praise God, there was a young lady and some other people that just wanted to tell the truth, and I have a feeling that was it Brown, Freddie Brown was there? No, that was anyway. I don't want.
Brown was the name of the guy who got shot.
Right, but anyway, in that case. People, I think, knew he was a bad guy. I think they knew.
Well, just earlier he'd gone in and shoplifted at a convenience store.
Right, and pushed the guy away. Yeah. Remember, he had pretty much assaulted the store owner. But I mean, in the neighborhood, I don't think he was well liked.
Right.
So I think that's why people wanted to say, "Hey, no, this is what really happened." So in those cases, but see, that's how I am. Listen, I believe in the how wrong the whole driving while black. I've been stopped for driving while black. Okay, I've been stopped. Police just stopping me because I'm black and all that. Let me see if I can get something on this guy. Yeah. It's real. It's real.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
But I don't assume that every time like when I'm doing 90 miles an hour in a 65 mile an hour zone, that he stopped me because I'm black. Right. He stopped me because I'm doing 90 miles an hour. So not every cop. In fact, I've had situations where I'm stopped and two policemen may come, and the one sees what's going on. He tells the other guy, "Hey, get out of here," you know. And I've had, in more cases than one, I've told y'all the story about my wife thinks I have black privilege because they keep letting me go when I should be getting tickets.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying this, that we've got to get to the point where we do not generalize. And a lot of this stuff that is going on, it's all about the green stuff, money. The case Tyre
Nichols.
Tyre Nichols.
Say the name. Tyre Nichols.
Tyre Nichols.
Yeah.
His parents won't have to work another day of their life. They will have new friends that they didn't know they had, new relatives they didn't know they had.
Yeah.
They will.
It's like winning the lottery.
And of course, who are you going to call? Crump.
Yeah.
Crump was right there with them. Crump is going to get them X million of dollars. You name it. Put 50 million, 100, they'll probably ask for 100 million. They may settle for 50, 60 million. Uncle Sam will get half of that, whatever they get. But they'll be happy. So, but that's what this is a lot about. It will be forgotten, the tragedy of this, okay? The five cops, their lives are over. Their families' lives are over. They will be tainted. I think of Columbine. You remember Columbine? The two guys that went in and murdered all the students and teachers. Their families' lives are ruined. Can you imagine being the parent of those two kids? Oh, yeah. And what's funny to me, they always talk about the 13 lives that were taken. Yeah. I think it was 13 or 14. No. There were 15 lives taken because nobody ever wants to mention the two shooters that killed themselves, shot each other at the end of it all. And so these are tragedies, and the lives will never be the same. And all that had to happen is somebody to say, hold on, time out, wait a minute. What are we doing? And somebody needs to ask the question, what is going on in these United States of America? It didn't used to be like this. That's the real question, Dave. Yeah. It did not used to be like this. This is black on black crime.
It is. I think you got a clash of social classes. And I think the community of law enforcement has its own culture, its own bigotry, its own biases. And it isn't about color of skin. It's whether or not you got hubcaps on your car. It's about what part of town you live in. You know, it's about a number of things like that.
If you didn't vote for me,
you
ain't black.
Right. It has to do with how many tattoos or piercings. I mean, it's all kinds of things because law enforcement, and look, I know I help do training of law enforcement officers, particularly mental health, but I hear some of the comments. I hear some of the things that they don't seem to have a problem with, but I see the bigotry, the prejudice. It's there. We all have prejudices, okay? But this is a problem I see. I think what would be smart, you're one of those 5 cops. You hurry up and get to the prosecutor before anybody else, the other 4, and you
get a plea deal.
Explain everything and ask for leniency, because that's all you're going to get. You're not going to get.
Give me 10 years. Give me 10 years, and I'll.
I just think, look, I'm going to tell all. And I trust you as a good prosecutor to do right by me. I deserve to go to prison, I know, but do right by my family, by me, you know, because I'm blowing the whistle on this. I was part of a culture that was wrong, you know. And what I really want to see in law enforcement training is a kind of training that looks at the whole community of law enforcement, whatever agency, and tries to root out the bad attitudes that are, and there's no one person you blame it on, but it's that synergy of attitudes that just keeps building on.
And let me say something, speak to something that you brought up earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think we can confine this to race.
Oh, no.
It's just as you said. What
It's class.
What was his name that got beat up here in town?
David Ware.
David Ware.
Yeah.
There was a friend of mine, one of my clients, years ago. This is way back in the early 2000s, and he used to he lived down in Mounds, but out in the boondocks. He was a big burly guy. Drove a panel van, had a beard, long hair, and he didn't do drugs or anything. But he told me every time he would go down 75, he would get stopped. Every time. And he was being profiled.
Yes, he was.
It wasn't racial profiling. It was just PWT profiling, poor white trash profiling, right?
Oh, he's a white man.
White. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have made that clear. He's a white guy. And they would stop him just because he fit a profile.
Yeah.
And as you were saying before, David Ware, he fit a profile. White, young, single white men are often also stopped, accosted, beaten, or shot by the police. We don't hear about them, but it happens. You can go on YouTube and you can actually see some videos if you want to look for it. But you don't hear about it because they're white. Somebody can't benefit from it, okay? It's sad. It's tragic. And it's, as you were saying, it's a certain social class that, and it's almost worse because nobody cares about these guys, these people.
Yeah, that's it.
Several years ago, what was this? There was a teenager shot in his home by the BA police. Do you remember? He was like a 16-year-old kid, and they shot him in his bedroom. How does that happen?
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things that I don't know. It's just we've gotten, and it's not going to get any better if we allow the Democrats to do this and keep it. And I'm going to do a little editorial that will be on the end of this. I hope you'll stick around for the end of the podcast because I'm going to do a little editorial kind of specifically on that subject of what's going on that the Democrats are really pushing us towards. Okay, so we'll get to that. So anyway, I think we've talked.
Can I
enough
say one
about
more
this.
thing
Please,
about law enforcement training? Many law enforcement training, many agencies have decided to go the route of specializing. Kunzweiler and I were talking over dinner one night. He says, you ever notice after 9/11, seems like every law enforcement officer has to have a SWAT team with paramilitary vehicles they buy out of surplus, or the government just gives it to them, and they got a bunch of guys that, they just want to do that, SWAT thing, be part of that group. What our problem isn't always too much training, it's imbalanced training. And I'll cite this bunch with Memphis. They were specifically trained, highly trained perhaps, to do certain kinds of interventions. But I question how many of them had mental health training, crisis intervention, or, domestic dispute, or, resolve. You got to have balanced law enforcement because some of your training balances your other training. And that's what gives you the mindset of good judgment.
Yeah, I don't think they had good supervision. I think that department, I don't think, had the proper supervision, and they had too long of a leash.
You're right. You got to look at the leadership that allowed that kind of culture to fester. I want to say my older brother, a year older than me, went into the Air Force to be security police. And he went to Wiesbaden. We talked a little bit about his exploits. But when he got done with some of the covert stuff, he was ready to be done. He says, I want to go back to babysitting missile bases in North Dakota, because he'd seen enough of the world, had enough trauma. But the interesting thing he said about the security police that's out in the middle of nowhere in, blankety blank Egypt. It's term for out in the sticks. When my oldest brother later became a contractor for Boeing to rewire the nuclear missile silos, and you have to get pretty close, if they don't communicate properly with every shift of security police, you'll end up with an M16 pointing down between your nose, because those security police and their force are trained to be the most paranoid cops you'll ever see. They highly train them to be imbalanced, to be so vigilant. They'll assume everybody is a communist infiltrator. Mm-hmm. They're just trained that way. Yeah. So that's what can happen when you have imbalanced training. And we don't want neighborhood cops to have imbalanced training. That's my point.
Okay. All right. Hey, I want to just say another quick deal here. This is what gets me about Republicans here. We got a situation, as you know, our new Speaker of the House has kicked 3 Democrats off of committees. Mm-hmm. And now we've got 3 Republicans who say it's unfair. Mm-hmm. One of them is Ken Buck from Colorado. He's a Colorado congressman. And he's saying that he doesn't want tit for tat. Just because they did it to us, we don't want to do it to them. I say, why not? But he opposes removing Ilhan Omar and Schiff and what's the other one? It's from Eric Swalwell,
Florida. Yeah.
Is he from Florida? I thought he was from California. No, he's from California.
Is he California?
Yeah,
I thought he was raised in California, but in Florida.
No, he's from California.
But I know he was raised in California.
Because he was sleeping with Fang Fang.
Well.
In California.
Was he in California? I thought it was in D.C.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, but anyway, they have kicked them off of their committees. And so, of course, Schiff is just beside himself. He's just going nuts. I mean, he's on these interviews. Now, Swalwell, he's the most, well, no, I can't say he's the most unlikable. He's unlikable.
Oh, God, yeah.
But
he's a
Schiff,
serial liar, just like Schiff.
Well, Schiff is the liar. I mean, that's just, I've never seen anybody as despicable as Schiff, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he is just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So they're trying everything they can. Well, you've got Ken Buck from Colorado, and then you've got 2 other Republicans in Congress who say, we shouldn't do this. We should be.
Yeah, I think Sparks was one of them.
Well, it's 2 women.
Yeah, Sparks is her name.
Yeah, I don't remember who the third one. But anyway, and I don't get it. I don't get it. What the GOP just bugs the heck out of me. I don't understand why these people feel that they have to play nice.
Well, I think they're believing the liberal media bias, the liberal narrative of why it's happened. Did you see Kevin McCarthy's press conference where he went in great detail?
Oh, man.
Why?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He's great. I mean, he's way beyond anything we could have expected.
And if he hadn't done it, what he did, after listening to what he said, I would have said Kevin needs to go for that. Because these were clearly national security things. Okay. The only thing I would say there's any question about would be Omar. Now, hers was an intelligence committee. Hers is foreign affairs committee.
Right.
Now, she is an avowed anti-Israel.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's the one that if there's retribution for Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'd say that probably is a tit for tat.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, how can you have somebody on a foreign affairs committee when things come up about aid to Israel or how you treat Palestine or whatever Middle East countries there are, enemies of Israel, let's say, and you've got an avowed enemy of Israel on there? How do you have
the diversity of thought in the United States and in our Congress?
Well, it shouldn't be.
No. Now you're getting into your politics. I disagree with. That's what they did to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I don't think so. Because here's the reason why. Because if these countries are not our friends, so take Iraq, where Iraq said, not Iraq, I'm sorry, Iran, mm-hmm. Okay, Iran, Yemen, mm-hmm. a bunch of them over there. These are avowed enemies of the United States.
I understand.
And yet you've got Congress people in those committees that are friendly to those nations. You've got the enemy within. You cannot allow those people to subvert your policies. You just can't do it.
We had people during the 30s and into the 40s were very much against the U.S. getting into World War II.
Exactly.
But the thing is, their districts, their constituents, they voted him into office. And we're just going to
let them vote him in office.
Okay.
They're in Congress.
If any of her actions show that she is undermining the United States through illicit violation of the rules of the House or federal law, then yes, you remove her for that.
No.
But just to say, she has a political view.
No. He didn't say she cannot be. He didn't say any of the three cannot be on a committee.
That's a good point.
He just says they cannot be on those specific committees.
That's a great point. And yes, I remember him saying that.
Right.
Yes. Whereas with Marjorie Taylor Greene, they just stripped her of any and all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So this wasn't even close to as bad as what Pelosi did.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. He's just saying you cannot have these specific committees because your actions specifically undermine what you are asked to do on those committees.
Yeah. Now, what Swalwell said reminded me of something Nathan Dahm said early when he got elected in the Senate. And the leadership didn't want to put him on any committees. And he just told the floor leader, he says, I could be pretty dangerous here. Mm-hmm. The second time he said that, I said, what are you talking about? You haven't given me anything to do. I got plenty of time on my hands here. I caused a lot of trouble now.
Yeah, but has he?
As a freshman, they made him chair of a committee. Now, it was pretty much a useless committee, but they gave him something to do.
Right, but what I'm saying is, has he? Well, but he ended up on a committee. My question is, what can Swalwell really do?
What I'm saying is, Swalwell does have a point. The more time he has on his hands, the more mischief he can cause.
Well, yeah, and probably mischief to get himself into more trouble.
Yeah, and get in front of TV cameras in the rotunda.
Yeah, but
flatulating on live TV. Yes, he's done that.
Yeah, no, I believe it. But he can, MSNBC, CNN, okay, but nobody's going to take the guy seriously. Mm. And all he can do is dig deeper and deeper holes for himself.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So I'd let him do it. I say, okay, yeah, you want to do it, do it.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying it's enough to sway anything. I'm just saying that is a valid point.
Yeah, I just don't understand these Republicans that want to always back down when Ken Buck from Colorado, congressman, and these other, they're always wanting to capitulate to the leftist media, the mainstream media. They're so afraid now. And I know what Buck's situation is. He's in Colorado, a purple state, which is turning quickly into a blue state.
Yeah.
And he's got to, that's what it's self-preservation is all it is. And he doesn't understand that what he needs to do is work to turn his state red.
Yeah.
That's what he needs to expend his energy on. to turn his state red and work with the state legislators to work to get it back to red instead of the other way around. And that's where they're failing. They'd rather capitulate because in essence, if you capitulate, who cares anymore?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're a Republican senator or congressperson in a district or in a state that votes blue all the time, and you have no voice, you're worthless.
Yeah.
All you're doing is in Washington collecting a check.
Yeah. No doubt. And by the way, Colorado, those of us who studied, political science on this, it used to be a quite red state.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason it no longer is, the Republican Party corruption was so bad, their convention nominated for governor the most pathetic person. And so a congressman, Tom Tancredo, decided to run as an independent. Tancredo got like 40% of the vote as an independent. The Republican got less than 10%, and the Democrat got 52%.
Yeah.
And as a result, the Republican Party has destroyed their own credibility, and now the base, the grassroots conservatives, I said, we're done with the party.
Yeah,
and now they haven't had a machine to mount a challenge for the last 10
years. It started before that, though. I remember back, this was back in the 90s, Dr. Dobson. I don't know if you remember, Dobson moved from California to Colorado.
Colorado Springs, a bunch of ministries.
And we were getting their newsletter.
Yeah.
And he told us in his newsletters that Colorado is turning in the 90s. He said all these California people are moving to Colorado and they're turning the state into a purple state.
And he was a Californian moving to Colorado himself.
Right, but he was saying that what's happening with that, they're moving. And they were warning, because he was trying to decide, should they move to Arizona then? But same thing in Arizona now.
Yeah.
Arizona has turned into a purple state. Yeah. My fear is we're seeing the same thing happen to Texas.
Yeah,
we're getting all the California people
could happen
to move
Not
to
yet,
Texas now. No, yeah, right. And the interesting thing, Texas has enough rural areas and enough farmland and suburbs that it can still hold on right now. But you look at Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, and Fort Worth. The cities, they're all blue.
Right.
They're all, and what's saving Texas right now is all of the suburb areas are still outweighing the cities. The only state that I've been seeing that is able to push back is Florida, but that's because of the strong. This is what's so strange. This is what's really strange is what's saving Florida is the immigrant population, the Cubans, the Colombians, the people who have fled socialist countries to come to America for the American dream and have succeeded. And they understand capitalism and they're pushing back. So it's funny where the Democrats are bringing in the migrants. I have a feeling it's going to backfire on them. It will. At some point, because
South Texas was always deep blue, and now a young Hispanic woman last summer in a special election got elected as first Republican from there.
Right.
And she was born in Mexico herself.
She got voted back out. So,
yes.
But then they voted another one in, another Republican.
Well, yeah, but see what happened, that gave an early warning, made her a target. And the national money that went in, they spent a lot of money to unseat her.
But there's another Hispanic lady.
They can't hold back the flood.
No, because especially with all of the immigration and the Hispanics that live in South Texas they're realizing, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for.
Exactly.
They don't like it anymore than because they're Texans now and they've seen what's happening.
Yeah,
so.
They're all conservatives on that issue, and some of them know they're conservatives. Others are still figuring it out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And eventually, more and more will figure it out.
Yeah, like the former governor of New Mexico, she did a little kind of a survey test and turned to her husband. What do you know, John? We're conservatives.
Yeah.
We don't know it.
Yeah, right.
So, Anyway, yeah, that's what's going on there. What else we got? I know I want to talk about education issues if we get.
Okay, let's do that, and then I'll do my little.
Okay, two big things happening. Our governor this week announced, as part of next year's budget, he wants to give a voucher to every family for every school-age kid. Okay, common education. We're talking K through 12, $5,000. If you don't want to go to the neighborhood public school, your zip code school, you can make use of whatever charter school, whatever private school, whether it's a church-based or not, or virtual academy, any of those things, but up to $5,000. $5,000 is about what we, as a state, spend per child, okay? So it's not going to change the budget. It's just going to add another option for families. So it doesn't save, it doesn't cost more, except that, some poor families like ours, we homeschool because we couldn't afford to send our kids.
Right.
And we certainly weren't going to put our kid in McClure or Marshall or some of the worst failing schools in Tulsa. So this is going to cause a boom for the existing private charter virtual schools.
Yeah. I want to discuss that. It's interesting you bring that up, but
Okay.
I think the actual budget is over $10,000, but another $5,000 or $6,000 is bond money, which is infrastructure.
Yeah,
it's a different. We have two pieces of the pie.
Well, what I want to say here, and this goes back to your comment about the Wagner debate that you moderated. The school district gets federal money that bypasses the legislature.
Right.
They get state money, which appropriated by the legislature, and then they get county money they get about half of your property taxes. And so those are their three main avenues.
Right.
And you add all them together, and yes, you're right, about $10,000. Right. About half of it is appropriated from the legislature.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. But it's funny. By the way, if you're not on Twitter or back on Twitter, I invite you to get back on it, get into the fray. I've been arguing with all these people, and education is one of them. And man, they're beating up on Ryan Walters a lot.
Oh yeah, And on Twitter, you are Fresh Black.Coffee. Blick. Yeah, no A in black. It's Fresh Black.Coffee.
Yeah, Black. He's a black fella.
Yeah.
Like Lethal Weapon too. Remember that? He's a black fella to the South African South African.
Okay.
But yeah, he's a black. Yeah, it's Fresh BLK coffee.
Yep. So
but anyway, I invite you to come in and start just locking horns with these liberals on there. And listen, the thing that frustrates me with a lot of conservatives, you get too emotional. Mm-hmm. We get too emotional, and we start going into areas that we don't need to. Mm-hmm. Study, as Jesus says, study to show yourself approved, a workman rightly dividing the word of God. Mm-hmm. Well, you can also study to show yourself approved, rightly dividing the word of man. I mean, just research the issues and don't get into the typical what you saw on Hannity or what you heard Tucker say. I mean, actually look into the local issues, into the state issues, into the federal issues. Watch everybody's argument and then develop and then use good reasoning, and it'll come to you. It comes to you.
Ron Causby. Yesterday I was talking to a friend, somebody I've known a long time, considered a great friend. But I asked us, what do you know about him? All I got was a bunch of ad hominem stuff, not a lot of substance of why he didn't like Ron. But I just hear all this innuendo and stuff. Now I am going to call and I'm going to meet this guy and we're going to talk. And we had a great talk. I said, let me call Eddie. Let's see if we get you on the show. Because you can't allow yourself to be prejudiced like that.
Right.
Especially by just mere innuendo.
Right.
Because if that's all they got is innuendo, that must mean they're very threatened by you.
Oh yeah, it's like I'm dealing with these people. They're very threatened. Speaking of threatened, by school vouchers.
Oh God, yeah.
And some of the stuff, and it's funny that I mentioned to you, don't just spew what you heard someone say. Most
you know
of these,
why? It might be
fake news.
Yeah.
Yeah, most
Fake
of these
news.
people that I deal with, especially the mothers that get on there and chime in, most of it is just stuff they've heard somewhere about, they're taking our money. They're taking all of our school money from the public school. So no, they're not taking your school money. It's the money goes with the individual.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to go here, you take that money with you. Mm-hmm. So for example, if you go to Epic or one of these charter schools
Mm-hmm.
that's out there, any of these virtual schools or another charter school, you can basically, that money goes to that charter school for that student. So here,
and they hate that too, don't they?
Well, that's what they hate because you see, but here's the deal. That's one less student that they have to pay for, right? So if they're taking, say, the $5,000 for that student, that's going over here, and over here is not getting that extra $5,000 of bond money, they actually come out ahead. So don't cry to me, Argentina.
Yeah, they still get all of the
They
county
still
money,
get all of that.
the property tax. They still get to apply for all the federal that they would. Now, even the federal, though, is on average daily attendance.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, yeah, but that's a problem. You know, and yes, I had that happen. I was talking to a businessman who happened to be on the Shoto Mazie school board. And we were talking about this whole idea of, school funding. And he had a completely different read than what I read in the legislative, the bill itself and in all the people at the Capitol. And I said, where are you getting your information? He said, well, this is what our superintendent tells us.
Exactly.
I said, and you believe your superintendent? You didn't check for yourself? Well, we pretty much rely on superintendent to let us know. Well, I said, well, that's your problem.
Yep.
I said, your job is holding your superintendent accountable. Well, you can't do that if all you do is parrot what she says.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah.
These people lie.
Yeah.
And they want. This goes back to Joy Hoffmeister when she was being supported by the Jenks. It was the Jenks School Board and their superintendent and that whole staff that wanted Joy Hoffmeister to be state superintendent of education. And they wanted her because they did not want Janet Parisi. I remember talking to someone over there at the Jenks, working in the district office over there, saying, they want to take our money. I want to say, your money? It's not your money.
Oh.
It's the parents' money.
Yeah.
And the students' money. It's not your money. And that's the thing. It was like, oh, our money. Yeah. It was honestly, I was shocked at how this lady was. We got to stop them from taking our money. Yeah. And this was like on the Lindsay Nicole scholarships, for those of you that it's Lindsay Nicole, right?
I've heard that term, but
Lindsay Nicole something. It's a three. It's for students with disabilities.
Oh yes,
Lindsay Nicole Phillips, is it?
Lindsay it has to do with if the public school can't provide for the special needs of a student, then the state then says, okay, they can go to a private school, even if it's religious based,
right?
And the money follows them.
It follows
and that's currently policy in Oklahoma.
Right. And so they were fighting that tooth and nail, and they did not want. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, are you serious? You are not providing for the needs of this disabled student or this special needs student. But this school here is, but you're worried about your money.
Yeah. And I have to say, one of the guys you've been debating on Facebook, you got it on Twitter, is my friend Andy Fugate. And Andy and I have worked together on some things. But Andy is now upset about that particular scholarship because he's afraid that maybe that student will be subjected, that special needs student, to religious teaching that is offensive to their family. To which I say, Andy, they can always go back to the public school.
Yeah,
it's about school choice.
Exactly. Nobody's asking them to go there or forcing them to go there.
Exactly. So
all of their arguments are baseless. All of their arguments are full of holes.
Andy, I think, knows better.
Yeah, I didn't really want to mention a name. So
I
do
because, look, I know him. We have a relationship.
Okay, but now everybody does.
Well, but this is the kind of people that consider Eddie a threat, okay? These are, state lawmakers that want to shut Eddie up. So, I'm just saying.
Well, good luck. Good luck to all of you. Come on. Yeah. Bring it on.
I love it. And Rosecrans is another one over there. And I've worked with him on things. Is some of these people like, you sound like you have good sense, but then you come up with things like Andy's big Second Amendment supporter. Good for you, Andy. You got a couple things right, But anyway, so, this is the problem we have. Now, Ryan Walters and his State Board of Education, little bit of difference here, but kind of both want to go the same direction. They want to see better teacher pay.
Right.
And Ryan, to his credit, wants it to be in a performance stipend. His state school board wants to give all of them $5,000 increase across the board.
Yeah, why?
Well,
I mean, no, if the education isn't improving, why would you give them a $5,000?
Bingo! Yeah. Yes. So they deserve it, yeah. And they'll say, well, unless you pay us more, we can't educate better.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Well, here's the thing. And tell that to the teachers here at Bishop Kelly who aren't even making what? The least...
Victory Christian, Lincoln Christian. Yeah. What's the new one in Owasso?
Oh, Rejoice.
Yeah. All of these schools where the kids are performing well. Okay. Your homeschool group.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
So Ryan wants to borrow a page from Epic, but not go nearly as far as Epic. Epic gives you the base state pay as a teacher, and then they say, now they kind of give you a load of about 30, 35 kids that you tutor. For every one of those kids who has a successful academic year, means determined to be ready to move on to the next grade the next year, you get $1,000. And if you got special needs kids, you get $1,500. And some of those teachers were getting like $45,000 in annual merit pay. And then
making six figures.
Yes, because you add their whole pay package, their health insurance, everything. Now they're over $100,000.
Yeah.
Special needs teachers.
In fact, there are people just complaining like crazy. How can you,
Yeah. So Ryan wants to do just a very tempered down, $10,000. No, we're not giving everybody a $5,000. We're opening this extra stipend of up to $10,000. And I like what he's doing. Now, that doesn't mean there can't be problems with it. It's always in the implementation. You got to make sure there isn't favoritism or things like that, or people being punished, for different things. But if you can do it right, I think it's a good thing. And I think it's good for people going into education. My daughter just went back to college now. She's going to get her teaching certificate.
See, my plan, the EHP, the Eddie Huff plan, was to take and offer a 25% bonus to every teacher that will go teach in North Tulsa. And then for every person that they bring up to a certain level, they get a 10% bonus on top of that.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. You will have people screaming to high heaven in Jenks, Union, in those other areas, but those are the places that I really need. That's where people are always screaming about, the education problems, right?
Yeah.
And so if you will focus, it's like in the military, what do they give people? combat pay, right?
Yeah.
You get flight pay, you get extra duty pay, you get combat pay.
Yeah, hazard pay. Yeah.
Right, hazardous duty pay and then combat pay. So, there's a thing called SOS. Oh no, not SOS. I can't remember. It's your specialty, whatever you have.
Yeah.
So if you deal with nuclear biological warfare, those guys, when you re-enlist, you get they were paying $25,000 bonuses to sign up for a 6-year deal. So you get your regular military pay, but you also get a $25,000 bonus.
Yeah.
It may be more today with inflation or whatever, but because it's hazardous duty, it's a certain. So I'm thinking we should start treating education that way. So if somebody wants to teach at Monroe, I don't even know if Monroe is still there, but let's say McLean Academy or whatever they call it up there, versus Booker T. You start getting those kids. So if you got the smartest kids at Booker T, they don't need some special teacher, right?
Right.
The best educators should be over at McLean, and that's the ones you want to pay the special.
I wouldn't just say McLean, because much of North Tulsa moved down to 61st and Peoria.
Well,
and you have McClure and Marshall and
okay,
Nimitz,
So, those are junior high. I mean, middle school and elementary school. I'm talking about high school. I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
But all of those schools, what they call the at-risk schools. Okay?
Right.
You pay hazardous duty pay or your special pay, but here's the problem with that. As soon as you do that, it's going to be like the people in Martha's Vineyard. They will be screaming to high heaven because now you're taking our teachers.
Yeah.
You're starting to pinch where it hurts, and these people aren't going to go for it.
Yeah.
And this is we're going to start showing up the hypocrites in there. You know, we like our Jenks teachers, we like our Union teachers, we like our Owasso teachers, the top performing schools. Bixby is one of probably the top performing district in this area. Same in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
I mean, but here, if you're really serious, if you really want to change and transform the educational systems in this state, that's what you got. That's a radical change.
Here's a little bit of a problem.
Okay.
I like a lot of what you're saying, but I'm going to use some of your own testimony against you here. I would do it to not so much to get people to go to the lowest performing. I'd make it available anywhere based on metrics of how much it improved aggregate over the next year. And here's why. Because if you pay extra to go teach at schools that are low performing, you might have what your friend on the school board said. They'll never be not low performing because they'll lose that money. As I told our floor speaker, John Eccles, if the government pays you to fix their problems, by all means, don't fix it or they'll quit paying you.
No, it can't work that way.
Well,
because if you don't fix the problem, you don't get the bonus.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Have a metric. Have that bonus.
The metric is that if the grades don't improve, you don't get the extra bonus. Right.
And that's where I'd say, you have an opportunity here to teach at a school that has a lot of room for improvement. Now, if you're already teaching at a school that doesn't have much room for improvement, you're probably not going to move the metric that much.
Right.
So if we have this kind of a merit pay based on a metric of improving things, then you're naturally going to attract teachers to where the biggest challenge and biggest opportunity for reward is.
Exactly. Yeah. And if your vision, I'm going to be a teacher, I want to improve my community, which is, supposedly what teachers' real mission is, then they should jump at this.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, a close family friend I called yesterday and said, watch the legislature because you've got 3 kids at Regent and next year a 4th. And if they get that $5,000 voucher passed in this next year's budget, for a family of 4, that's $20,000 mom and dad don't have to come up with for the kids to go to Regent. That's one dynamic. The other dynamic is all of the private schools are going to be maxed out, and there's going to be huge opportunity for those of you who want to get into education, as a private school, whether it be church-based, whether it be community-based, or just straight up,
well, that's where you have to be careful, though, that you don't just have these schools popping up that are
Why not?
Because you'll get a lot like we had in North Tulsa where they had to shut them down because they were not performing.
Well,
they were not offering it was just a moneymaker.
Well, that you can't say, we can't have new ones come in because they're going to fail.
No, that's not what I've said. You got to listen, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Jackie Chan. Are you listening to the words coming out of my mouth?
Yes.
Yeah. No, you've got to be careful because you will get, if all of a sudden it's a thing about money, we got just $5,000 per child, you will get people coming in trying to start these schools that will not be performing. It's all about money. So you've got to, there needs to be, I don't know if you want to call it a new board, a new organization, accrediting organization for these schools to check them out. So, there should be some accrediting organization to be able to say, are you worthy of doing this?
Okay. Eddie, in business, I'm a craftsman. I do a good job because it's financially rewarding to do the job right.
Right.
Okay, my mechanic's the same way. Being motivated by money in most other industries leads people to doing a better job. Why do you think it's going to cause a substandard product in education?
Because it does. It just does. It's happened. It happens all the time. You get people in education and healthcare are two areas fraught with fraud and waste. It's different from a craft job.
But I thought the nuns at St. John's had just corporal works of mercy was motivating them. Don't the nuns still run St. John's?
Yes, but
do they? I was saying
I don't know.
Ascension.
Well, no.
No.
Okay, yeah.
They're using the nuns as a prop.
Well, maybe. But what I'm saying is, and you get a lot of complaints with that too.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, for example, there's a school in town. I don't know if we've discussed this. I'm not going to mention names. Please do not mention any names, okay? But there's a school where the parents are attracted to the school because their children, children pay for this private school because they get football training. Okay. Now you pay for football training, but you get to go to the school for free. It's a private school, but the parents go because they want their children to get football coaching because the parents are thinking they're going to get my kids a scholarship to play football and they're going to be NFL stars one day. That's what's drawing these.
There are lots of those.
I know.
I mean, Kevin Durant went to one.
Okay. Right. There are those, but it's the wrong motive. It's the wrong motive. And so, because let's say you have, I don't know how many kids went to Kevin Durant's school, but how many Kevin Durants did you have?
Right.
See, so you think of all the ones who did not become Kevin Durant that are probably walking the streets of Washington, D.C., that on drugs or in criminal activity and so forth. And so it's the wrong motivation. So what I'm saying is we need to have someone come in and stop that kind of stuff. Now, I am very adamant about this. Listen, if you're about education, make it about education.
I'm not ever going to be against choice. And if that's what Kevin Durant's family wanted, now, obviously, he's a success story, but even somebody who didn't make it professionally or anything, or even in college, but that's what their family wanted for him. That's what motivated the kid to get in the books because his being able to play football was tied to it.
You mean basketball?
Or basketball or whatever sport. I had a kid, prodigy tennis player, back when I was like 9th grade. The next year we're playing their school. And the kid's not there. I said, where's Casey? Oh, man, he's going to boarding school in Florida. That's all about tennis.
Yeah. It's probably IMG.
But his family was willing to do it. He motivated him.
Yeah.
He was way better than any of us.
No.
He wanted to play people who would make him better.
I understand that. Okay. On an individual basis, if you want to send your kid to IMG Academy in Florida, if you want to send it to whatever one of these, athletic schools, do it. But I'm saying as a charter school, a school that is government funded. See, IMG Academy, those are private schools.
That's a good point.
And they scholarship the kids in to go there. But when it comes to government funding and you're trying to boost the educational standard of a massive community of children.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Then it should not be about athletics. It should be about academics. And for example, in Philadelphia, they had this school called Central High School. And it's where Bill Causby went there. A lot of your famous black people from the 50s and 60s, they all went there. It went to pot after that. But a lot of your educated black people that came out of Philadelphia,
And Fat Albert
that's
went
where
there,
they are.
didn't
Hey.
Millennials won't get that.
Yeah, no, they won't. He did go there, actually, now that you mentioned. But so it was one of my uncle, when I lived there with him, he kept, it was right near my house, so you'd go over a hill in there. So anyway, my uncle kept hinting he wanted me to go to Central, and I could care less.
Was it like a magnet school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was for the, but you had to be smart and go, what they were doing, which I don't agree with. I hate Booker T, to be honest with you. I can't stand Booker T.
Well, you got to have, Booker T wouldn't be Booker T without the farm club of the other 8 high schools to draw players from.
I thought you were going academic. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, what wouldn't be a great school? You get the best athletes and then the top scholastic. You got all the smartest white kids in town, then all the best black athletes.
That's what it is.
It is. Yeah. Now you know my disdain, the reason for my disdain.
And years ago, I was driving back from the NCAA tournament, regional in Kansas City, caught a ride with family that mom teaches at Jinx. And I had my son with me who was like 8 years old, right? And they said, what school did your son go? I said, well, we homeschool him, And this I'll call her a snobbish teacher, okay? She's just kind of looking down her nose. Well, good thing my son was reading 2 grades ahead of his age, right? So I was good. But then we were talking about open transfer. You know what? It isn't Tulsa public schools that's against open transfer. It's Jinx, it's Union, it's Broken Arrow, it's Owasso. They don't want the city kids coming out to their suburb. That's who's fighting against open transfer. And she said to me, the riffraff in central Tulsa will all want to come, and I don't want them in our school.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't her exact words. This is me paraphrasing. This is what I heard.
No.
That's what it's what I heard.
It's funny because I used to do recruiting for the Coast Guard Academy.
Yeah.
Coast Guard Academy, when my son went the year he got in, it was the number one, the most difficult school in America to get into.
There's very few slots.
It beat Juilliard. Let me see. It was number one: Juilliard, Yale, Harvard, Princeton, and there were a couple of. But that year, Coast Guard was the hardest one to get into, and it was God. I mean, it was one of these. He's having to slip in, Yeah. So, but anyway, it's funny. So, I sent letters to the counselors at the different schools. And Booker T was one of them, which they would naturally, because you had a certain academic standard to get into Coast Guard Academy, okay? And so I sent this letter to Booker T, and I remember following up, and then somebody called me and said, well, I'm sorry, we don't want any military academies at our school. they won't let any military academies because they're anti-military.
It's politics.
I thought, are you kidding me? First of all, Coast Guard, all they do is save lives around it. We don't go to war. We don't do anything, and yet they're so snobbish. So and what I really want to do is sometime. I've told them you need to change the name on your school. It needs to be the W.E.B. Du Bois High School, not Booker T. And I wanted to do a questionnaire and take it to the administration and to the kids and ask them 20 questions about Booker T. Washington, and I guarantee you they cannot answer one of those questions.
Yeah,
they cannot answer.
Quite honestly, that kind of administrator or principal should be fired, because you don't want that kind of ignorance educating our kids. That's just ignorance.
We were moving my daughter from a Christian school. We were moving her to a public school, and I met a lady who worked at Booker T. She was one of the secretaries, a black lady. And I told her, and she worked out. Oh, you're at Booker T. I said, yeah, I'm thinking of moving my daughter to either Union. We live over Union. Either Union or Booker T. And we're thinking of transferring her. And so the lady says, oh, you don't want her to go to Booker T. I said, really? She said, "Oh no, they don't treat black kids the same as they do the white kids."
How about that?
I said, "What?" She said, "Oh yeah." He said they treat them differently. They don't think highly enough of them, and they won't give her the same education.
Soft bigotry.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, what?
Yeah,
and and this lady worked at Booker T, and she was saying that they don't teach them the same.
She's looking out for her kind, right? But now,
I was just shocked.
In full disclosure, your daughter's 75% white. But people who judge based on skin tone say, oh, she's black. Obama, believe it or not, is half white. It's just interesting how.
Well, the lady didn't know. She just looked at me, and so she figured my daughter was black.
Right, yeah.
She just figured she was black.
And you're half black.
Yeah, but the lady had no clue she just saw me as black and figured a black child's going to go to Booker T.
Yeah, in general, I hate using the term comparing colors as black and white. They're all shades of beige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, this lady who worked there told me, do not send your child to Booker T because they don't treat black kids the same as they do the white kids. And I said, whoa, this was something. And she worked and she knew. She said they don't treat black kids the same. They just assume that they're not smart enough to compete with the others, and therefore. And what it reminded me of, and I've told a story here about my daughter in Germany, where the teacher thought that she's not worthy of going to the gymnasium, the highest level of school,
secondary school,
until I smacked her upside the head, and then all of a sudden she realized my daughter was worthy, and then all of a sudden she decided to start teaching my daughter and pushing her to do it. But so it just shows that soft bigotry is not just in America, it's worldwide.
It is.
It's worldwide.
And there's a lot of white folks practice soft bigotry, and they think it's compassion. I mean, we all watched Remember the Titans. Remember when the head coach, Denzel Washington's character, turns to his assistant and he says, you're coddling the black kids. You're going soft. You're making them soft.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah, so anyway, wow.
I hear you got an editorial you want to do. Should we finish with that?
Yeah, let's finish with that. If you want to zoom in.
I will.
Mr. DeVille.
All right, sign us out when you're done.
All right, this is going to be a short one. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Absolutely. Oh, shoot.
Zoom in right here into Noah.
I often on it, so.
You did what?
It won't while it's recording.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's good. You just got to tilt. Oh, the other way. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I've been troubled a little bit by the whole immigration situation. And my mind stays very active. Before I go to sleep at night, there's two things. The last thing on my mind is God. I don't know why. It's always been like that since I was a little kid. It's my time with God. For some reason, before I go to sleep, I think about God, and it's my time with him. It's like my time with Dad. And so I start telling him stuff, and, and my fears, my loves, my dislikes, about all the stuff I liked that day, didn't like that day, the stuff I need, that I want, all of these things. So, but before I get to that, my little personal time with my father, what I do, I think about other stuff and current events, what's been going on in the world, and how I can deal with this, who I was arguing with on Facebook or Twitter or this or that, or, things like that. Anyway, one of the things has been in the news, of course, for a long time now, a couple of years, is this immigration issues and the Democratic Party and what they're doing to our country. And so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think I finally figured it out. And what brought it up is something that I saw a couple of weeks ago that Chuck Schumer said. He let the cat out of the bag kind of about why they're bringing the immigrants in. And it's something that Europe has been doing for a long time. The European nations, Central European nations, Germany, Italy, Holland, France, with immigration. What's happening, the population in those countries, the native population has been decreasing. And they don't have enough workers to supply the retirees because pension plans are based on Social Security in all of these countries, same as we are in America. And the reason Medicare and Social Security and so forth are dying and becoming bankrupt is because we don't have enough young workers to pay into the system to pay all of the retirees, because the retirees are living longer, there are more of us, we're healthier, and so forth and so on. And that's why also we are not paying Social Security at the same age. It used to be 65, now it's gone up to 66 and 3 months, 4 months, 5, every year now. I don't know if you know this, but to get your full Social Security benefits, they're adding a month or a half a month or half a year every so often, okay? Now, here's where this all comes into play. There's a couple of factors playing into this. Abortion, okay? First, we have the fact that young couples are not having children like they used to. We went down to the thing of, everybody wanted to have just 2 children or 1 child, 1 or 2. Women are wanting, and their husbands are wanting to have children later. You want to get your career going, get into it, and so you want to be like 40 or late 30s when you're established and so forth, and then you want to have your baby. So that's happening, and then, of course, birth control and then abortion. Abortion's a big one. So what's happening, we're starting to deplete our workforce. And Chuck Schumer essentially let the cat out of the bag. That one reason they're bringing all of these illegal immigrants into the nation is to bring in our future workforce. That's why they're doing this. So the Democrats are trying to bring in this future workforce. They think somehow in their minds that this mass immigration is going to supply the workforce of the future. And this is why one of the big problems is our industry, our companies are supporting this. Our factories, our agricultural systems, everything is needing workers to work because the old saying, they're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do. Now, I'm not buying that totally, but as we've seen after COVID, a lot of people don't want to go back to work. So it's becoming worse and worse and worse with us not wanting to work. We're having less children. Abortion is rampant. They keep wanting to abort our own kids, but then we've got to have somebody do the work to earn the money to pay into the social systems, to pay for all the Americans that don't want to work or can't work anymore because of retirement. So this is what's going on, and the liberal mind is too stupid to figure out, the Democrat mind, the liberal mind is too dumb or too stupid to figure out that this is unsustainable, okay? You cannot continue to run these policies and sustain a society, an economy. Europe is already running into this. Germany, I think, is below the line. I think they're having less than one child per family. So they're not reproducing enough to even keep their system going. Their issue is with Turks. They've got Turks coming in, and the problem is the Turks are smart. They're sending their money back to Turkey, and they're retiring in Turkey where they can retire more cheaply and live better than they can in Germany. You've got it in France and Holland. In Holland, it's the Moroccans. In France, it's Algerians, Moroccans, all kinds of immigrants and so forth. And so that's what's going on. Now, America, this is what is happening to our nation. And somehow somebody needs to wake up. It's unsustainable. Democrats, liberals are big on sustainability. We're so busy worrying about energy sustainability that they're not looking at the human dynamic of sustainability. And at some point, it's unsustainable. Now, what I believe the elites are counting on is that they can move up high enough in the system. Your political class, your wealthy class are believing they can live at this strata up here where they can be above it all and they can just replace the peons down here. And so they don't care who's working down here. They don't need Americans. They don't care if you're African, Spanish, Chinese, what. They don't care. They just want to live their life up here on the caviar class and have the workers down here. It's a new feudalism, basically. What they don't understand is it can only last so long. It's going to come crashing down. And or at some point, as we used to say, the niggas are going to come tear it down. Okay. It's just how it's going to happen. So anyway, that's what I wanted to leave y'all with today. And I hope you've enjoyed our broadcast today, and we will see you or talk to you again next week. Take care, everybody.
Another day, and I'm thinking about the things I want to say, but my thoughts are like clouds drifting far away. Well, I admit I doubt sometimes that I'm on your mind, just another face looking up from the crowd, searching for a way to talk to you now. Sometimes I feel small in the scope of it all, and then I'm reminded again that the very same God that dreamt of the ocean set the stars into place. Well, he knows me by name. The very same God that put the world into motion is listening today. Here's what I say when I pray. Oh, when I pray. I thank you for the faith it from me. I can't tell you how